All right, EXPs, how are you guys doing? Thank you for joining us tonight on this very special live pop-up interview with none other than Mr. Jaymond Allison. He is our EXP Elite of the month. So, guys, definitely let us know where you're tuning in from. Drop your name in the comments, drop your location. If you worked with Jaymond before, drop a nice comment, say hi, let us know your experiences with him, what you love about Jaymond, and any questions you have for him. As you guys know, with pop-up discussions, I don't have any preset questions. So all of the questions are straight from the dome, and they're from you guys as well. So anything you want to ask Jaymond, he's an open book. He's going to be very transparent and very honest tonight, and do his best to answer all of your questions. So without further ado, Mr. Jaymond, thank you for tuning in. And I'm going to have my phone here as well because I'm going to be reading the comments because we got comments popping up already. And I'm going to be reading the comments to you as we go along from other EXPs. All right.
Sounds good.
All right. So for those who may not know you, Jaymond, give them a little background as to how you began your career in the industry as an EXP and some of your favorite positions that you've worked thus far.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I've been in the industry now for about 4 or 5 years, and it was by accident. I believe I was working a serving job. And out of nowhere, one of my friends, he was like, there's an event happening this weekend, and I was wondering if you want to work it with me. I was like, well, I'm not working, so sure, why not? And I'm thinking that I'm getting hired for like a new job, a new company. This is like a full-time position. The event comes to a close, and I'm talking to the manager at the time, or team lead when I was learning, and she was like, that's it. I was like, what do you mean? I'm not coming back to work. She said, it was just this one event. She's like, oh, you've never done this before, have you? I said, no, my friend just randomly asked me to do this. He says, well, she said, this is agency 1. You're going to probably work by 100 by next year. And here I am.
So what, you were a brand ambassador?
Yeah. My first gig was with Cricket Wireless.
Okay.
We went to a football stadium and just did guerrilla marketing, handing out flyers.
And what intrigued you? Because that's just flyering. That's like one aspect. As you know now, that's one aspect of working as an EXP. So from that one flyering position, what intrigued you to say, you know what? Let me find out about this list of companies and continue to work in this industry.
Yeah, so that event was actually an hour away in Alabama, and I was living in Pensacola at the time. And I was like, so I can literally go to all these events, work them, but have the best experience for them, and then give that experience to other people. So, I mean, I get to do all these fun things that people are paying to be at.
Yes.
And when I can do it around the country now.
Man, so and that's great. And you started out the gate driving an hour away. And we were just talking about, your gig, which we'll get into later on, your new opportunity that you have where you're driving 1,200 miles. But aside from that, so you took that next opportunity and you worked that opportunity in Alabama. How were you able to then, first of all, did you have a full-time job? Did you have another job? And did you immediately transition full-time into the industry, or did you take some time and progress into the industry?
Yeah, it was definitely a progression because I wasn't living in a major city like Nashville, Chicago, or anything where a lot of major events happen like every weekend. So it was starting out slow, like liquor promos in different liquor stores or bars, things like that. And then after more companies progressed to me, I've been able to travel more through that.
Okay. And what have you learned with your resume? Because we could talk days about resume headshots. So for someone who is new, entering the industry, and we know with the pandemic, our industry's, coming back. But what advice would you have for someone who is looking or will be looking in the future to begin a career in the experiential marketing industry to assist them with obtaining opportunities? Something that you wish you would have known when you started 4 years ago.
Well, one of the things I wish I would have known is to do as much research as possible. You know, go on all of the Facebook pages for brand ambassadors, add every single city that you're willing to travel to or that you live in. And when you get to these events, if you're on time, then in my opinion, you're late.
Yeah.
So you need to be there 10, 15 minutes early, depending on what the situation is and your activation, and get everything set up on time. So when the people are there to arrive, it flows smoothly.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say to somebody who may not be as an introvert, extrovert dealing with consumers? How has that transition dealing with people? What is your advice for them?
You have got to be a people person. And a lot of people probably say that in interviews, I'm a people person, but really you have to be extroverted beyond belief, because you're talking to all different types of people groups. You're dealing with infants to literally elderly. So you have to know who you're talking to. And, you know, there's different ways of, you know, reading people, judging accordingly and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. And then when you're judging them and you're dealing with consumers, and you have to be able to accept rejection. Like, talk a little bit about that, because not every consumer is going to be welcoming, is going to be nice,
right?
And willing to engage with you. So how have you been able to deal with that?
Well, usually people are pretty happy when they come to events. So like it's like a music festival, they're already excited to be there. They want to learn and see all the new things that are experiencing there. As far as like different ways of going around, you know, without saying no to someone, you know, just gladly with a smile, be like, okay, thank you, you know, next person.
And being able to, even if they're being rude or making a smart remark, just being able to, unless they blatantly say something mean or racist, just not take it personal.
Yeah.
You know, just being able to work through that and deal with that, because that can become an issue or arise on site too. I've had to deal with that in the past.
Yeah, staying positive is key, and especially with your other teammates. If you're working with other team members, that negativity will draw around the crowd.
So how have you been able to, as you've progressed in the industry, you've worked in various positions, you've been a brand ambassador, you've worked in the liquor industry where you've served as a on-premise and off-premise specialist. What have you learned, and how have you been able to navigate into those different positions within the industry?
Yeah, so honestly, there's just so many different things. When you're applying for something, you really need to know exactly what the product is. You need to have the inside and outside. So for example, like if you're going to be a product specialist for an automotive event and, you know, you're standing by that car, you need to know the entire inside and outside of that car. They're going to ask you so many questions. And even if you don't know the answer to that question, you just say, you know, hold on, I don't know that. I will find somebody who will, or you can research online to find the answer for them.
And then as far as you moving into the wine and spirits and working on the product specialist side, how have you been able to retain that information? What is some advice or some things that you've been able to implement to make sure that you're able to stay on your P's and Q's, you know, per event or per vehicle or per brand that you're representing?
So, well, usually they give you, well, depending on the agency, they give you like a little booklet or some sort of little research that you can learn from it. I mean, obviously, if you're doing a tasting, it's best to know what your consumers are tasting. So don't just show up like, oh yeah, this is very good. Why is it good? Did you tried it? But also like throughout this time of being unemployed really from the beginning, I've gone out of my way to get additional certifications so that way I can be prepared for when everything starts back up, be ready to go.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we get there, take me back to like January and February. How did your schedule look pre-pandemic? Were you booked up? Like let's talk a little bit about that.
I'll never forget. My very last event was the Indy race in St. Petersburg. It was Not even the first day. It was getting everything set up. So 12-hour long Labor Day. Next day coming in, it was March 13th. I'll never forget the date. Woke up, sorry, been canceled, sorry, been canceled, sorry, been canceled. My calendar literally went from being completely booked from beginning to end for 2 months to nothing. Nothing.
And what was your first reaction? Were you devastated? Like, how did you feel in that moment?
I was definitely devastated. I was more worried about like where the industry would go, because our industry was the very first one to shut down.
Yeah.
And there's no telling when it will be back to normal. So going with the flow of things and adapting to change is definitely key. You know, having to wear a mask over your nose and mouth, if that's the biggest problem you have, then you should probably leave the industry.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have to be able to adapt to change, and especially with gloves and everything, being sanitary is very key right now.
That's true. And you brought up a great point. And like Jaymond said, if you have a problem wearing a mask, then this may not be the industry for you, because I feel like that's going to be the new normal, at least until going into next year, until they, figure out a vaccine or whatever they're going to do to protect people. So you were devastated because you had months of work lined up, and you had to figure out, okay, did you have a plan B before, or no? Was this your end all be all? The end of the
So I didn't know to have a plan B. I mean, I had money saved, but I guess my plan B was just to go back and extend my education. Yeah. So I got additional certifications, my TABC card, on-premise, coffee, travel and tourism management. There were colleges giving away free certifications. So the opportunity is there, and I'm not working. Why not take it?
Yeah. And then you said that you were able to, from getting those certifications, it helped you just put yourself in a better position now. Now that the pandemic is where it is, and then opportunities will be arising. So for you, taking that time to invest in yourself was definitely worth it.
Very worth it.
All right. So EXPs definitely take advantage of the certifications. Are a lot of the certifications you took still available, or no?
I don't know, honestly, but I'm sure I saw something on Groupon, $3 for on and off premise, I think, or something. I can send the code if you need it.
Yeah. I'll definitely reach out to you, and I'll post that link in the bottom of this video for EXPs to definitely take advantage of, either now or later on, or if it is going to be on Groupon longer. But you've taken the certifications, and now in hindsight, you're looking back. It's been almost 6 months. Do you feel like 2020 has been a great year for you?
I stay positive no matter what. Even though I wasn't working through majority of it, I was still able to better myself in other situations, as far as like physical. Like I'm now able to go to the gym more, focus more on my eating, because when you're on the road, it's like, there's an exit, there's Arby's.
Yes.
I'm at home.
You got to cook.
Yeah. Exactly. But honestly, staying positive was key, even though it was a very negative situation. It was more hard mentally, I'm sure, on most people, especially if depression sets in or anything like that. When you're not doing anything, I was able to overcome that because I just stayed so busy trying to figure out more ways to expand myself without this industry being alive at the moment.
So we talked about this a little bit offline, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into it. You plan to stay in the industry, right? And why is that?
I love this. It's my passion. I don't care if events are permanently down for the moment. They'll come back, and I have faith that they will. And when they do, I'll be ready to go.
And you started in the industry 4 years ago with one company. Now you've worked for how many? Well over.
Don't even know.
You said over 100. You said over 100.
100.
So how has building that rapport, right? That's important. Like I've worked for a lot of agencies too, over 100 as well. But how has for you building that rapport with all those different agencies, how has it helped you maintain consistent opportunities over the last 4 years?
Well, that plus Trusted Her does help as well.
Mm-hmm.
All these agencies that I have worked for, they review you, and then other companies see that you've worked for them and you're doing a great job. They want you to work for them too.
Mm-hmm.
When they see one doing good, they want to take that from you. They want the best of the best.
Yeah. So that helps. Trusted Her, with shouts out to Brian for everything he's doing.
Yeah.
You being able to build a great rapport with agencies, but also it's a personal thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Like personal accountability is important. So what are some things that you take personal accountability for to make sure that you're able to maintain those relationships with those account managers?
Following up and reaching out, even reviewing them as well, because everybody looks at reviews. There's so many different ways about it, even through like different apps like Pop Bookings, and I can't even think of some of the other ones, but a lot of companies, they rate you, and now people are able to rate people. So word of mouth is another one, especially that one's been around forever, but it's true because, if I've worked with you and you're a good worker, I'm going to refer you.
Mm-hmm. And how do you go about, because I know you've worked in the management role as well. So how do you go about hiring or working with EXPs who are friends? And what are 2 or 3 things that you are, no nonsense about when it comes to having EXPs, in the field executing an event? What are some of your no's?
Some of my no's. Oh goodness. Well, obviously being late, because that just it throws everyone off. If you're late, your other teammates are working your part of your job too, so it's slowing everything down from start. Another thing is definitely attire. Attire is so key. If they say black pants, that doesn't mean black jeans. Anything, the little details matter, because when you show up and we're all ready for a group picture and you're that odd little duckling
with black leggings on.
That's why they hire backups.
Have you ever had to fire someone?
Personally, no, I have not actually.
Oh, good.
I haven't had to fire someone. I have told someone to go change and they had clothes in their car, so maybe if they didn't at the time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Hopefully, when you get to that point, I think you'll be well prepared and you'll know how to handle it. But have you managed some of your friends?
I have. And it's a very tricky situation when it comes to that, because they're your friend already, but then if they think that they can just do, whatever they want and just slack off and not do their job, then that's a different story.
Mm-hmm. So what is some advice you have for someone when you are managing a program to set the precedents early? Like what is some of the things that you do?
Communication is key. I would definitely start a group chat the day before and just let everyone know, hey, just make sure everyone's got the details. If you have any questions, let me know. Look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow morning, bright and early, 7:00, Mm-hmm. And then, and being on time is just key for that.
Yeah. I agree with that, because you have to set a precedence early with your team. And you have to lay out expectations, because if people don't have expectations and understand what's expected of them, then you leave it up to the EXP to decide how your event's going to be ran.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely you have to, make sure that you set expectations, you define roles and responsibilities, but more important that you make it a fun environment, because we work in a fun industry, right? Like it's no stuffy, like No, like we
don't bring nothing home. Leave it there. We're here to have fun and be professional.
Mm-hmm. And you have to keep that in mind, but you also have to be professional at the same time. So you walk that fine line of maintaining professionalism, but having fun. Yeah, having fun too. So I like what you said, because you definitely have to communicate as much and as often, because everybody may not receive the same way.
Right.
And you got to know how to deal with different personalities. That's key too, because as we know, everybody's personality is completely different, and people receive things.
Yeah, sometimes you have to like change the role up for some people. You know, like let's say you're working with like 8 other people, and it's like a music festival or something, for example, and you're representing like a phone company, and you got some people that are helping line management. There's some people that are just helping with like the actual photo booth or whatever phone distribution is going on. So sometimes, like if it's somebody who's a little bit more not talkative, you might not want to have them in line management. You might want to have them like at the very end, thank you for coming, have a good day, kind of thing,
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that you say that, and it's funny that you're able to pick up on that, because you haven't been in the industry long, right? You haven't been working in this industry long, and you understand that and you get it. So you have skills that you brought into the industry, right? That were already assets, and this industry has helped magnify them in a positive way and put you in position to be able to move up in the industry fast, at a fast pace. To be able to manage events consistently, now you've only been in the industry 4 years, says a lot about your work ethic and your ability to, make sure that you are doing what's needed and what's required to excel. So kudos to you, because everybody can't do it, and everybody can't do it at that rate. So
yeah, this definitely industry is not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be willing to have your car ready to go. No matter where work calls.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of, so even though you haven't been able to maintain consistent opportunities now during the pandemic, what opportunities, or you just received your opportunity? So talk a little bit more about that and how you've been able to move into that realm.
Yeah, so me and you were going to have this meeting last week, but it worked out actually because I got my first gig in 6 months.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, one of the companies that I worked for in the past called me up and said, we're ready to go. We're ready to start an event again. Can you literally start tomorrow? I said, okay, where is it? She said, it's in Chicago.
And you're in?
I'm in Tampa, Florida. So I packed up my bags that night, woke up early, and hit the road.
And you're doing a program. How long were you doing that first set of events for them?
From last year, they were always sporadic.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And like, now and you're going to be gone for how long to Chicago?
Well, I just got back, but I have to leave again tomorrow. So I guess I'll be there for like another 3, 4, or 5 days.
Mm-hmm. And talk a little bit about that, because a lot of EXPs, I don't want to say don't understand, but really don't weigh the options, weigh the cost, and look at financially what it may equate to if you decide to become a traveling EXP, one that travels from city to city or market to market executing events. So what are some factors that you take into consideration before you even accept a job like Tampa, Florida to Chicago?
Right. So obviously you have to think of different financial ways. So obviously, some companies might provide a hotel, some might provide per diem, and some do not. Others just do like a straight up base pay. Here's the entire amount for this, event. Can you do it? Yes or no? You have to think about those kind of things. So for me, it was a base pay, and it was worth it to me because I have different credit cards with different hotels. Like I have a Marriott hotel credit card. I've got IHG. So I've got tons of points built up by traveling from working and having those saved for later. That helps. And then also, compared to flying or driving, if you're driving, gas is going to be cheaper. You're going to have your own car. If you fly, you either know people in the area or you're going to Lyft or rent a car. So really you have to weigh out your options and see which is better for you. But, flights are very cheap right now. So definitely take that consideration.
But for you, it was more advantageous to drive to Chicago.
Yes. Because if I was, so for instance, I'm going back to Chicago tomorrow. It's 1,200 miles. I looked on Google Flights and the cheapest flight was like $298. Why would I do that when I can drive, fill up my car 4 times to get there, $25 each, only $100, fly, and then have to rent a car or Uber? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're looking at, let me just make sure I heard you clearly, EXPs, when you're looking at whether or not you should take an opportunity that's outside of your market, factor in your costs, your expenses, and also whether or not it makes sense to pay, actually the rate, whether it's a base pay or hourly rate, whether it makes sense. And then 2, look at lodging too. Like you and I have Marriott and IHG too. So you save by being able to use points or use your free nights. But also look at, if you have friends or family in the area that you could
stay for something where you don't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is not only smart, but it's also something that a lot of EXPs, you got to do the math first. If it don't make dollars,
it don't make sense.
Yes.
Otherwise, count your pennies. You don't have to worry about your dollars.
Yes. Yes, Jaymond, that's so true. Because if you don't take the time to financially plan correctly, then you could end up on the losing side and not on the winning side, or in our case, the upside where you're actually profiting from, because wear and tear on your vehicle. See, now that you're driving, so you got to factor all of that in as well. That maintenance and things that go into maintaining that go into maintaining your workhorse, because that vehicle is making you money. So congratulations, like I told you before, on the new position. And it's because, like we said before, you built up that rapport with that agency, right? Because how long had you been working for them?
Over a year, several different times.
So because you followed all the steps and you were prompt, you were on time, you were professional, you did a great job, and clients loved you, that you were first thought, when they wanted to hire someone for this program. So your reputation matters. I cannot stress that enough, even during this time. Following up like you did and taking the time to reach out to account managers just to say hi or say, hey, if any opportunities come up, keep me in mind. Just building that rapport is important. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely. Because I told them, I said, you call me tomorrow, I'll be on the plane or in my car ready to go.
So being accessible and being willing to adapt to change during this time is key. So I know we talked about, everything that's going on with the pandemic and with our industry. And I know a lot of EXPs, had decided to not come back into the industry. This year has been, for a lot of people, a year of reset, and even just pursuing other business ventures outside of the industry. Do you plan to continue, even with the opportunity you're awarded? If you don't get an opportunity, I know we talked about a little bit, in another month or so after this one, do you plan to continue to work in the industry? And if so, why?
Yes, I definitely continue to stay in this industry, mainly because of flexibility, making my own schedule, travel. Those 3 keys right there, honestly. Being able to travel, go where I want, experience new things, make my own schedule, and get paid to do it. Absolutely.
Any plans to get your CDL?
Not right away.
Have you thought about it?
I have thought about it.
Okay, let's keep
so much driving. I'm like, I don't want to be behind the wheel anymore.
You're driving now. What's keeping you from doing it?
Honestly, I just haven't gotten around to it. I haven't really thought about it, really.
Okay.
But now I have.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the game changer. Everybody in this industry who has this CDL is going to tell you it's the game changer. So definitely think about it. Okay. And now offline, we'll talk more about ways in which you can do it down there in Florida. All right. I'll walk through that. But before I let you go, I want to shift gears really quick and just talk about um, how you fare or how you feel the industry um, handles EXPs who may be who not who may be, but who are LGBTQ. Have you had any issues with discrimination or anything within the industry with regards to you being a homosexual male?
So I have not personally had any negative influences in this industry as far as that. If anything, I think it's a lot easier being who I am now than 10 years ago or so. But I mean, if anything, I get more opportunities too, because there's different, pride events all around the country. There's things in Nashville, lots of liquor promos. I know State Farm is like heavy into LGBTQ. I mean, they're everywhere. If anything, it just opens up more opportunities. I'm not, ashamed to be who I am. Maybe there's other people out there who might not adapt to change, but in our culture and our age now, I feel like it's a lot easier being who you are.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say? And I thank you for shedding light and talking about this, because for many it's a very sensitive subject, and it takes a brave person to first off come on and talk about this, to talk about their experiences. But what would you say to that person who is not as brave as you, to talk about their experiences, or even, talk about the fact that they are, homosexual? What would you say to them right now if they're dealing with that or battling with internal issues?
I mean, honestly, if you really need to reach out to somebody and talk to them, even if it's just like a stranger. I mean, I don't know the number, but there's helplines out there. Like if you just need to talk to somebody and you're like afraid, if somebody's attacking you, or if, it really just depends on your situation, but there's always somebody out there to talk to. If you want to talk to me, I'm here to talk to you. Let's go. Call me up. We'll solve the situation. There's never a problem.
And how have you been embraced by other EXPs? Because our industry is one of love, of community, of camaraderie, and working together and coming together. So how have you been embraced by other EXPs in the industry?
Well, I would definitely say you. You're a huge impact in this industry. If it wasn't for you, I'm sure a lot of people would still not be in the same boat they were,
Mm-hmm.
I would say you're definitely an influence in my opinion. You and definitely Brian. I haven't met y'all in person, but everything y'all post is just so positive, inspirational. You want to help other people, and when you help other people, you're going to get helped in return.
Mm-hmm. You was helping some people too with them protests earlier this year. How was that? How was that experience for you?
Oh, the news, they knew I was there. I had a real sign front and back. I said, I'm not leaving until I get an interview.
But going through that and just seeing everything that was going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, and even just you taking the time to go through and be a part of that, what was your takeaway from that?
I mean, it was definitely an experience. I have never even really seen a protest in person, except for just like, the movies or news or something out of the country. But I mean, obviously it's just blown up. The media is blowing it up too. But my very first one I saw was here in Tampa, and it was just by accident. I stumbled across it, and I was just like, well, I'll just join in. So I just parked my car and jumped in the march and didn't know what I was expecting.
But from there, though, it had to be pretty uplifting to be a part of a movement. It
is, and it can be a little scary too, because it's a protest. There's people who are heavily against it, which is why we're there, to make a point and stand our ground, because we have to make our words known.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, let's get to some of these comments. Jessica Bradford said, hey, Jaymond Allen. Holly Christina said, hey, Jaymond and Jamila. Hey, Holly.
Hey, Holly.
Halina Marie wants to know, what was your favorite all-time event and why?
Oh, my favorite event is definitely probably Bonnaroo. I love Bonnaroo. It's so much fun. The people there are so exciting. It's long hours. I love working long hours. I'll work a whole week straight, 9 a.m., midnight. Let's go. I'm
I
there
need
for the money and I'm there for the experience.
agencies, account managers. I hope y'all heard that. Long
Yeah.
hours. That's a rarity.
To repeat.
Go ahead. You can repeat.
But definitely Bonnaroo. I just love it. The music, you're able to experience it yourself when you get off work. You know, why not?
What brand or what client did you work for when you worked on?
Last year was with Google Pixel, the new Google Pixel. So it was a really cool experience. It was a photo booth nightlife blacklight experience. So you walk in this big room full of night lights and neon lights, and you're able to take a picture with the phone and actually use it yourself and see what it's like.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was a really good experience. And everybody who had the phone already got to go backstage for VIP.
What?
Yeah. So anybody with T-Mobile or a Google Pixel phone got VIP.
That's cool.
I know. I was like, why could that happen to me?
And when you worked Bonnaroo before, what other brands did you work for?
Last year was the first year for Bonnaroo.
Okay, so
But it was my favorite overall.
Okay, cool. All right. Eric said, hey, Jessica Bradford said the Bartista and Bartender, she received hers for under $5.
Yep, that was on Groupon.
And someone said, I need to look into getting my bartender license. So talk a little bit about that process. How did you go through that, navigate through that?
Well, I guess it really depends on what state they're in. There's different ones. Florida has, was it on and off premise tips, TIPS?
Yeah.
And then like Tennessee has the TABC. You can get them online or you can go in person as well.
Okay. How much, do you remember how much they were?
Oh gosh, I don't honestly. It was during the pandemic, so there was some special going on. So I just took it.
Okay, cool. And Bethany said, congrats on being the EXP of the month. And Jessica said, congrats on the new position.
Yes.
So before I let you go, I always like to ask a couple fun personal questions. Okay. So outside of working in the industry, what are some of your hobbies? What are some of the things you love to do?
I love to travel.
Okay.
Beyond belief. Anything outdoors. I love being active, kayaking, boating, being on the water, going on hikes. I mean, really, I'm so spontaneous when it comes to trips. If I just do some research, like I'm going to San Juan in 2 weeks, found it for round trip $95. Why not?
Was it through Spirit?
Nope. It was JetBlue, actually.
Okay, you good. You good.
Hey, if it's $19 round trip, I'll sit anywhere on that Spirit plane.
I can't with Spirit. They be missing people luggage and see, no, I can't.
That's why I never check a bag.
Yeah, that's true. But I can't. I done had too many. I'm done.
Okay, I feel you.
But that's good.
I won't argue.
$98. That's good though. That's a good.
Yes. Why not?
I don't blame you. Favorite country though, since you like
my favorite country that I've been to. I would say I really loved Ireland. Ireland was beautiful. It was everything is so green. The wildlife, the culture there, and the food is amazing.
Okay. And second?
Costa Rica.
Yeah, me too.
I love Costa Rica.
Yes.
I would definitely retire there.
Manuel Antonio, my favorite spots. Yes. It's beautiful there. It's yeah, I like Costa Rica too. All right. And last question. What would you say to an EXP who is contemplating whether or not they should stay in the industry?
Well, if you are an EXP, you already know that there's going to be opportunity in the future no matter what. So even if right now might not be the right time for you, whether it's financially, emotionally, spiritually, whatever the case may be, it's always going to be there for you. If you have to do something right now, I would definitely suggest doing that because you just don't know when things will be back to normal. But definitely take into consideration all the things that you've done in the past, don't just drop the ball, you know, because of the pandemic, because it could happen again and things might change again.
Yeah. Yeah. And my last filler in the blank question.
Okay.
Many people don't know that Jaymond loves to.
Oh, I fill it in, or
Yeah,
I love to go to the beach.
go to the beach.
Yeah.
Right. Why you like to go to the beach?
I love the tanning, the sand, the water, just freedom. It's a sense of peace, and you can let go of things. It's relaxation.
I'm a Florida girl, so I could definitely relate to that. I'm gonna retire somewhere with a beach nearby. So
yeah, I used to live in Tennessee, and all my friends were like, "Do you see what you're wearing? Like you belong in Florida."
So yeah, so I can vouch for that one right there, 100%. So I'm not gonna keep you any longer. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're gonna be hitting the road. I'm gonna be wishing you safe travels, EXPs. Let's wish Jaymond some traveling grace, some safe travels as he journeys up to Chicago. When are you leaving?
Probably tomorrow morning.
So let's keep him in our prayers and send him good energy and good vibes as he travels and begins executing events these next 3 days in the Chicago area. And I just want to say kudos to you. You know, I appreciate you taking your time. I appreciate everything that you're doing in the industry. Continue to assist other EXPs and inspire others, and continue to live in your purpose, Jaymond. All right.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for being transparent, and thank you for being honest. EXPs, thank you guys all for tuning in. If you have any other questions that Jaymond didn't answer tonight, just send them to myself or Jaymond, and we'll definitely get to them or respond to you, you know, within a timely manner. All right. Talk to you guys later. Be safe. Wear your mask. Take preventive measures, because I know Jaymond will be doing the same as he's executing his events. All right.
Okay.
Bye.